Welcome to the Pun Show. I'm your host, Macklen MacLoogie. Tomorrow is Memorial Day, so if you're a baby orange bird, you should probably show some respect to your mum Oriole. It's Pun Day, May 24th. We're off for the holiday, and since I'm robbing you of tomorrow's show, I thought I'd ask you a question about a Rob Morrow show. Where was Northern Exposure set? I'll ask another question. Where was Numbers set? A set is a group of numbers. I'm feeling elation, which means it's time for an expunation. Here's where I explain or expound upon an ex-pun. Last episode, I mentioned fictional astronaut Neil Legstrong, which referenced the act of kneeling, but also took into consideration that kneeling is done using the leg, not the arm. It's time now for the pun of the day. Babies are usually placed into a cradle when they're acting either cray or dull. If you have any questions about that pun, save them until the next episode when I will break it all down for you. Please welcome my guest, Zach Huddleston. Zach, I understand there's a topic you want to pontificate about. What might that be?
Yeah, there's something I prepared, and I want to talk about fruit.
Zach, was that a pun on the Pun Show?
What? Are those allowed?
They are. I tolerate them.
Okay.
Zach, why do you want to talk about fruit?
Well, as you know, I have a passion for produce, fruit specifically. I briefly had a podcast called Fruit, where I would interview people, including yourself.
I was on the first episode.
That's right. Yeah. You and Nate Ballard, who was on the first episode of this show.
It's all coming full circle
That's
already.
Right.
We're a minute into the interview, and you're tying things up like it's the third beat of a herald, Zach.
That's right. Well, that was always my forte. Stay out of the first 20 minutes of the show and then really swarm at the end. I found that fruit was a really fun subject to talk about, both because I was passionate about it, and I think it's something that like most people are exposed to or eat on a regular basis, but don't know a lot about. So it's like very easy to kind of surprise people or wake them up to fruit, which was great because it's like accessible to everybody and it's good for you and it's delicious. Guys, we could go all day, okay? Just on fruit.
We can't go all day. This is a 7-minute episode.
Okay. Well, we'll snip it right at the stem. We're coming up on summer, which there's a lot of great fruit that is seasonal to summer, but some of my favorites are melons. Your watermelon, your cantaloupe, and your honeydew. And I think they can be a little controversial, these fruits. I think they're wonderful. They're like the best bang for your buck. They're like the cheapest per pound. They're so sweet and delicious in the summer. But I think a lot of people are scared of melons because they don't know how to pick a ripe one at the market. And so I just wanted, can I use this as like a PSA to just drop some seeds of knowledge on the folks?
Normally I'd say no, but you're bringing in so many good puns into this interview that I'm going to allow this one.
Thank you. Watermelons, okay, the second they're picked from the vine, they stop ripening. So you don't really, the second it's in the market, it should be as good as it's ever going to get. And you just always go for like weight, right? Like how heavy a melon is per its size is like how much sugar, and sugar retains water inside the melon. So like heavier, better on watermelons. On cantaloupes, which Macklen, most of the rest of the world calls them muskmelons. If you remember that helps you pick a good one because cantaloupes are a lot about smell. And like if you find the little part where the stem popped out, the little like circular indent that looks like a navel, if you kind of push on that guy and smell it, it should smell sweet. And in general, like avoid any green, the less green, the better. The more tan and khaki, the better on the melon. And then honeydew is my favorite melon and the most controversial.
It's controversial that you're admitting openly that it's your favorite. That alone is scandalous.
And I might be just trolling the fruit community by claiming it as my favorite. But so honeydews, you want to, again, just like cantaloupe, you want to avoid green, go for yellowish. And there's two things that are a little like counterintuitive about honeydews. You actually don't want a shiny honeydew. You want it to be dull in color. And sometimes you see like almost like a little like a spiderwebby pattern on the outside of the rind on the honeydew. That's a good thing. Those are like, they call them like sugar lines or something like that. And that's a sign that like the honeydew has a really high sugar content. I will say, I love this show. I love that you are such a fan of puns and plays on word or turns of phrase, whatever it is. Though I will say it was an important part. I started doing stand when I was 20, and I started doing improv a little bit after that. And like in my early 20s, I was obsessed with puns and wordplay and stuff like that. And like literally some of my good friends had to pull me aside and be like, you got to stop making puns. It's really holding you back. And like, and it was, there was like a period where I could only write jokes that were puns. And like, and being able to get past that was an important part of my maturation as a human. So, but I still have a huge place in my heart for him.
Right. And for people like me who haven't matured out of them yet. Zach, thanks for being here, for espousing your wisdom about fruit, about words, about language, about love. You're one of a kind.
Did we get into love?
I was on love the entire time. Were you not there?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was feeling it the whole time. I don't know that we talked about it, but.
Right. It'll transcend, I'm sure, through the magic of the internet to the viewers. They'll get it.
Mm. Yes. And remember, folks, if I can leave you with anything, one bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch, girl.
Well, that about does it for today's episode. We're back 1 week from today with an all-new one. Time for a sneak peek? See you later. Okay, if that's what I'm wearing. I'm Macklen Maclugie. If you or anyone you know have a pun you'd like me to read on the air, please call 1-800-876-5353. When it comes to Robert references, today's episode was stacked.